Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Otto here from Pacific Dunk coming at you with another NBA discussion video. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at my biggest three contenders of this NBA season to win the championship. This NBA season has been super fun to follow with all the headlines coming out and all of the trades going down. However, one of my favorite things about this NBA season is how open the championship window is for other teams to get in. I feel like this year more than ever, it's a complete mystery to who's going to be in the finals and who's going to win the finals. And I think that just makes the season so much more fun and so much more fun to talk about. Before I get started, I do want to talk about what the most fun conference championship matchups would be, because right now I feel like in each conference there is a clear-cut matchup that would be the best. In the West, I have the Suns and the Warriors. I feel like this is just such a even matchup between two teams who have the same exact play styles. I feel like this series would be super competitive, and they are my two favorite teams, so it would just be super fun for me to watch. Both teams are trying to get back to the finals. Obviously, the last time Steph Curry was in the finals, he lost to the Raptors, and the last time Devin Booker was in the finals, he lost to the Bucks. So both teams will just be so hungry to get back in the finals. And in the East, we have a new one and a fun one, and that is going to be the Nets and the Sixers. Imagine this, right? Ben Simmons comes into Philly in Game 7 because obviously I think the Sixers are going to have a better seed. So Ben Simmons comes into Philly Game 7 and he has to prove himself to the Philly crowd that he is a great player. It would be a career-defining moment for him, and he better not fucking pussy out of it. No, but all jokes aside, I don't think he would unless he was actually injured. But it would just be such a great matchup. I feel like both of those teams have so many great players on them, and they are two very well-built teams. It would just be so much fun to see James Harden play against Kevin Durant and his old teammates, and also it would be fun to see Ben Simmons play against Joel Embiid and play in the city that he used to play for. It would definitely be a matchup that a lot of people would remember, and there would be so many different stories coming out of it, so many different memes. Oh my gosh, it would just be so much fun. I hope we get blessed with that matchup. Even in like the first round or the second round, we need a Nets-Sixers matchup, period. Anyways, guys, let's get into the actual video, starting with my third contender, which is the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are one of the only teams I can think of that went from being mid to good and not from terrible to good. Like, they didn't even really rebuild or tank. They just got a couple good players and started playing better. This is a very deep, well-coached team with a great leader in Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler showed so much perseverance in the bubble, and I feel like he's going to bring that this playoffs. Not only that, but they had an embarrassing loss last year in the first round against the Bucks, so they're going to come back very hungry to make it to the finals. They have Kyle Lowry now, who hopefully will stay healthy, but he has the finals experience and he has the experience of winning it. This team is just a perfect blend of veterans and young players, and they're just very well suited on both the offense and defensive side. I think this team will make it very far in the playoffs. Whether they win the championship or not, or whether they make it to the finals or not, they're going to be a very scary team to play in the East, no matter what team you are. And they're going to be fighting to the last second to win the championship. Next, at number 2, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. First things first, this duo is insane. James Harden and Joel Embiid are going to be a great duo. They're two of the best players in the NBA, and I feel like they already have such great chemistry. I think roster-wise, this is the best roster in the NBA, but as we've seen before, having the best roster doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the finals. One thing that stops a great duo is not having a great supporting cast. However, in the Sixers situation, they have a great supporting cast around Embiid and Harden. Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle. These are all players who are going to be able to step up and help these two stars whenever they get into a slump. I feel like all of this commotion is making people forget how good Tobias Harris really is. He's an all-star caliber player, and he's literally in the shadows of these two great superstars. One thing that brings this team up is that this team is championship hungry, especially their two superstars. Embiid and Harden have gotten so close to winning a championship, and they're two of the best names in the NBA to not have won a championship yet. This is going to help the Sixers persevere to get to that next level so that they can win a championship. This team is stacked. However, there is one thing that makes this next team more likely to win the championship in my eyes. And before I get into the number 1 team that I think is going to win the finals this year, let's talk about some honorable mentions or some other talking points that I didn't get to in this video yet. Sadly, the Golden State Warriors will not be on this list, and Trust me, as a fan of this team, it definitely pains me to not put them on this list, especially considering how good they have been this year. I definitely do think that they're in the top 5, top 7 contenders this year, but I just don't think they're there yet to be in the top 3. The Warriors are terrified to play Klay for a long time, and as a fan of the Warriors and a super fan of Klay Thompson, I fucking love Klay Thompson, okay? I fucking love Klay Thompson. I definitely do agree with that decision. I don't think they should rush him back yet, especially after not playing for 2 whole fucking years. This fear of playing Klay will affect their contending chances, however, and I think that next year they'll put him in fully, and he will be the Klay Thompson we all know and love, and they will definitely be one of my favorites to win the championship. Apart from that, I do think the Warriors have 2 other players that need to do some growing before the Warriors become the best team in the league again. It's kind of up in the air right now if James Wiseman is going to be a good player. He showed flashes last season, but he also showed flashes of being a terrible defender and an injury-prone player. I think he has the potential to be great. We just need to see him play more often, and him being injured this whole season is not a great sign. On the flip side, I do think Kuminga is showing great flashes of potential right now, especially on the defensive side. He's looking like a Kawhi Leonard type player. I think he's got the defensive side of his game down pretty well right now for being 19 years old, but it's his offensive side of the ball that he's going to have to work on for the next coming years. I think it was still a great pick though. When I first saw the pick, I wasn't happy about it. I didn't really like Kuminga as a prospect, but he's looking like he's going to be a great player on this team. He has plenty of mentors on this team to grow up with, and I think he could grow into a tremendous player and put the Warriors back on top. It's just going to take a couple years. And 2 other teams that will not be on this list are the Phoenix Suns and the Chicago Bulls. I feel like both of these teams are both very talented, but they just have too many health concerns to go that deep into the playoffs. Chris Paul's out right now for 2 months, and hopefully he proves me wrong, but usually he gets injured sometime in the postseason and it brings his team back a lot. I feel like it'll be impossible to see all 4 of the Bulls' best players on the court at the same time, and I think even losing a player like Alex Caruso could harm their championship chances. Alright guys, let's get into the team that I think is going to win the championship right now, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, say what you want, alright, but I think Ben Simmons is going to have a good playoffs this year. I think it's a great fit on the Nets team. The more I look at this trade, the more fair I think it was. The Nets have a plethora of shooters around Ben Simmons, and that is exactly what Ben Simmons needs. Apart from that, he's got Kyrie Irving, who can take over when Ben Simmons goes cold, which happens a lot, but Kyrie Irving can handle the scoring, and Ben Simmons can handle everything else on the court. I feel like he'll slide into like a 3 or 4 role, but play like kind of point guard at the same time. I don't know, it'll be weird to see where he slots in the starting lineup, but I do think that this team is a perfect fit for him. Also, one huge thing for the Brooklyn Nets is that Kyrie will be playing home games. Yes, Kyrie won, guys. Kyrie Irving won, which is a huge W in my opinion, but he will be playing home games now, which is going to be huge for the Nets in the playoffs. Also, both Kevin Durant and Kyrie both have finals experience, which will turn up huge for the Nets in the playoffs. And finally, the biggest factor that I think spaces out the Nets from the other 2 teams on this list is Kevin Durant. Okay, I know it sounds basic, but hear me out. Here's my reason, okay? If you look at almost every team that's won the finals in the past 10 to 15 years, there's usually one player on that team who is just like impossible to guard. LeBron James, Steph Curry, and last year, Giannis. I think Kevin Durant is just one of those players that is impossible to guard. You can try and guard him, but he's still going to go off. You could put the best defender on him, but he's still going to go off. And I feel like that's what happened last year in the finals with Giannis against the Suns. Watching that series, I noticed that literally nobody on the Suns could really guard Giannis. He was just going off every night. And on top of that, they had Chris Middleton, who was kind of sneaky because the Suns were just putting all of their attention on Giannis, and Chris was just going out here and getting buckets. I think he showed this last year in the second round against the Bucks. I remember watching Game 7 of that Nets-Bucks series, and Kevin Durant was just making me think that he was the best player in the world. I still think he is. Literally, he was doing everything he could to help the Nets win, and they almost did. They were so close, literally so close to winning. And it was all because of Kevin Durant. But this year, he's going to have Kyrie. He's going to have Ben Simmons. Hopefully, he'll have Kyrie. Hopefully, Kyrie doesn't get injured, and same with Ben Simmons. But if he has these 2 players, and he has the shooters on his team, this is going to be a great finals run for Kevin Durant. If the Nets make it to the finals, right? Whoever plays the Nets in the championship, they're not going to be able to guard Kevin Durant. It's just that simple. And I think that they're going to go overrun. I think Kyrie's going to come in just like Chris Middleton did and drop buckets on their head. and the Nets are going to win. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you. As I talk about these three teams winning, I could also see another sneaky team like the Cavs somehow making it to the finals, just like the Suns did last year. And honestly, I would love to see that happen. It would make the playoffs so much more fun. It makes so many different storylines. Let me know who you guys think will win the championship. Let me know who you guys think are the top 3 contenders this season. Check out my Instagram, Pacific Dunk. I do a lot of posting there. I post once a day. I do a lot of rankings. I do a lot of memes. I do a lot of things on the Instagram page. So go ahead and check it out if you like my content. But I'll see you guys next time. Love y'all. Peace.